What you're about to hear has never been released until now. This episode is part of our exclusive Vault series, a limited release of live recordings that have been curated with care and reserved for this exclusive unveiling. I'm joined by my husband, Sunny, and we're bringing you stories packed with insight, heart, and energy. We're thrilled to offer you a front row seat to these powerful conversations.
There's a lot of stuff we went through before we got married. A lot of stuff, a lot of trials. But that right there, the culminating factor to where I was afraid that I was going to lose control of myself because she had lost control. And I realized, I was like, I need to take a step back. This isn't me. I was afraid that it might turn physical. I even called the police. And I think that was the moment a lot of things changed.
Welcome to Mpowered Living. I'm Ann Sheu. On this podcast, innovative leaders and visionary experts share insights and practical tools for work, family, and marriage. Each episode, we'll explore how to elevate your life while staying grounded in what truly matters to you. You're working hard to navigate relationships, build a thriving family, and create a legacy of purpose. We're here to help you do that with confidence and intentionality. Welcome to today's episode of Mpowered Living. Our guests are Mey and Jason Ortiz. They've been married for 9 years and together for over 14 years. They've got 3 kids and are also current participants in our Empowered Families program. What were some of your favorite takeaways from today's episode?
We had some deep conversations just around how they support each other and set expectations of what they need from each other, learning about and leaning into their strengths in their relationship. Talked about removing outside noise and also like how to come back or what they did to come back from tough times in their relationship.
We hope you enjoy today's episode. Welcome to Empowered Living podcast. We have Mey and Jason with us today. We're so excited to be chatting with you guys. Tell us a little bit about how long you guys have been married, about your relationship, about your family.
How long has it been? We just had an anniversary.
9 year.
9 years.
That's right.
Yes.
Willow tree. Yeah.
Willow tree. Because
What is that?
He has a tradition of getting me a gift that's related to whatever.
You know, they have
Yeah,
modern anniversary gifts and traditional anniversary. Yeah. So I'm old school. I'm like, we're going to stick to stone, ceramic. You know,
I think he got me a willow tree.
Yeah, I bought her a willow tree.
Like a real tree?
Real willow tree. The problem is I didn't realize where it was going to be planted. Backs up within 20 feet of the neighbor, and you need 50 feet. You need 50
For the
feet
roots?
for the roots and the tree. It blossoms massively.
okay.
So instead, I got her a hybrid that's like a willow tree flower. It's supposed to be delivered Wednesday or Thursday.
What you can take from the story is that he's going to talk a lot and not arrive at the point. But more importantly,
Yeah, she got a willow tree. So we've been married 9 years. 9 years. So, but we've been together since 2010. 2010. When
we
did you
have
break up
3
with that?
children. We are a family of 5. You're not answering the question.
Yes, how long you been together?
9 years.
No. We've been married 9 years. We were living in sin for another 5-6 years before that.
That's fair.
That's okay. No. She asked how long. Yeah,
Yes.
since 2010.
So like 14, 15 years
Yeah,
together.
Yeah.
What's
Yes.
been the highlight of that time and what's been one of the hardest points?
Dang, this is hard.
You want me to go first? I
Yeah.
can just spit it out.
Yeah,
Okay.
go first.
Highlight firstborn.
Mm.
Because then it was like, oh, can't return this. It's real. It's like I'm stuck like Chuck. It's happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, firstborn popping out. I GoPro'd it. I think I might have been the first person at Baylor Hospital. They were all blown away. But I GoPro'd it if you want to see it.
No, thank you.
It was a C-section.
Click on your-
Oh
your
yeah,
forehead.
I had it right there, camera and all, C-section. You know, got the whole thing. Not the incision part. They wouldn't let me do that. But yeah, that's probably been the highlight. Now, granted, we have 2 other kids, but I think that firstborn, I don't cry. I don't really have a lot of emotions. But that day, I just couldn't stop. That moment. So that's the highlight. Oh man, I would say the toughest things. Realizing there was a moment. It was a particular event, particular hour took place, where I realized that I had changed throughout her pregnancy and then having a kid. I always think of, you know, the mother going through all the changes, postpartum, etc. I was supposed to be this rock. And I realized in a really big blowout, I went from being this even keel, this very patient, just let it roll off, I'll deal with it later, to just losing my shit with her. So, excuse my French, just losing my cool. And I think a lot of it had to do with I wasn't happy that I was going to Thanksgiving, Christmas by myself with the kids constantly because she was billing, and working. So she was missing out on certain things. And here we have our firstborn. And we got in this big fight about whether or not I fed the baby within a particular time. You know, when you have your first kid, it's like, gotta feed,
that
We're
schedule.
supposed to be going to dinner with someone. And that actually, and we've been through a lot. There's a lot of stuff we went through before we got married. A lot of stuff, a lot of trials. But that right there, the culminating factor to where I was afraid that I was going to lose control of myself because she had lost control. And I realized, I was like, oh man, like I need to take a step back. This isn't me. I was afraid that it might turn physical. I even called the police. And I think that was the moment a lot of things changed. Just, you know, it was for like almost 2 weeks, we didn't say a single word together. Try living with someone and not saying a word to them.
Yeah.
It was like 2 weeks, we didn't really talk. But like, I don't journal, I don't write. I definitely wrote a note to myself that day because it's been 2 events that have been kind of scary. One where I got really drunk and driving flashbacks, military. And then
That was scary.
that moment right there to where I had to call the police because I was afraid one of us, there was a baby involved and one of us might do something. So that was actually the most challenging 2 weeks for me. So I was like, are we going to stay married? That was it. That was what was going through my head. I think that's the only time in our relationship where for me, I'm sure she thought this multiple times, like I'm going to leave this dude. But for me, where I was like, I know this isn't going to happen. So that was probably the most challenging.
What got you guys through that? Because clearly,
She found a new job. No, she found a new job and
but in that moment, right? Like when that was happening, when it was still really heated, how did you guys survive that?
we separated for a minute. Yeah.
But then,
Reset.
and then what brought you guys back together?
Child, love. You know, it's like, is the juice really worth the squeeze? Well, yeah. So, but it was a rough 2 weeks. Really rough 2 weeks. It was about 2 weeks. I remember.
Yeah.
It was pretty rough.
And I mean, I heard you say a question just now that I feel like most married couples have asked themselves is like, are we going to stay together? Is this going to be the moment that breaks us? And I think for a lot of couples, they pretend like they've never thought that or that they've never said those words. But I think it's really important for us to call that out because I think it's part of healthy couples like that happens. Like when things get tough, that thought might cross your mind. Like, is this going to be the end? Is this going to be,
Yeah.
you know? And so I think I appreciate you calling that out.
That was for me.
Yeah. Gosh, it's hard to choose one thing. But I would say the most positive thing of our marriage is, quite frankly, how he shows up for me. I can admit that when we were dating, this makes me laugh, but it's true. I got a relationship before that was all about that other person. And I said, hey, if we're going to date, let me just tell you how it's going to be. It's going to be about me, my priorities, my wants. And we laugh because I actually said that.
It wasn't a thought. It came out of her
I
mouth.
said that. And I sort of just drew that proverbial line in the sand, right? So if you're about it, come on. But if not, don't waste my time.
Yeah.
She was even allowed to date other people. It wasn't.
And he was not. She sounded like such a terrible person, but I was in this phase where I really needed to see someone sort of give their all for me.
Yeah.
And that has sort of rang true, that no matter how hard we fight, I could cram our schedule with too many things. Sometimes I win awards like today, and he consistently shows up. Yeah, I want to say maybe 2 weeks ago, we had a really bad fight where just kind of giving each other silent treatment. But that night, he brought me a glass of ice water and put it next to my nightstand.
Yeah.
And I knew we were going to be okay.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a positive thing. I think a negative thing, and whenever you ask like what's kind of the worst things or negative things that you've had to overcome, there's this concept that it's something that you have to overcome together. But I think it's important to recognize that some of it could just be an issue that the individual needs to wrestle with. And I think for me, if I were to be really honest, I have to wrestle with battling my own idea of what a husband and wife looks like. And whether, the traditional notion is the man should be the breadwinner and the woman should be at home taking care of the kids. Battling that and making sure that I don't make him feel less than because I'm the primary breadwinner. So I think that's something that's hard in a marriage because I have to deal with that, right? Because it is not a good marriage. Well, we can, good, bad, whatever, judgment aside. I don't want a marriage where I feel like I make my spouse feel less than because he does not contribute as much monetarily.
Yeah.
And really thinking about those roles, I think before children, my mindset was, well, if I'm billing and working at a law firm all the time, then you need to clean the house, not me. And I think now with kids and everything, gosh, the partnership that we have is really one of the things I'm most proud of.
Yeah.
Like I can say like we'll go to like kids' birthday parties and things like that. And he is there with me with the hand sanitizer for the kids. And like it's not, oh, the mom has to plan the whole party and plan everything. Like he's there with me. But it took us a while to get here, I think.
Yeah, still working on it.
What does that partnership look like?
It depends on the day of the week. It could be as simple as giving her that space to have some quiet time after just going nonstop all day. Kids, different events, different people, social things, and she just needs leave me alone.
Yeah.
And so realizing and respecting that, because the kids and all of us want a piece of her still, and it's only 5:00 and she wants to sit in a bathtub with wine for the next 3 hours. It's like, oh, okay, you're checking out. I'll take that on. Okay. But it changes. It's in flux. I guess for me with that partnership, it's on my end being like a rubber band. I have to constantly remind myself about being a rubber band, being able to be stretched in 3 or 4 different ways. Because no matter what, I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back. So, but it really does. There's no, to me, a defining, what does it look like? I mean,
that's interesting because I would have a different.
What's your take?
My take is that over time, we've learned what we're good at, what our strengths are as individuals, and why we thrive as a couple is because, for example, I'm type A, I like to organize. So the Friday before the next week, I literally make our schedule. Who's doing kid pickup? Who's doing, after school drop off, who has meetings. Like I put it all together after taking all the data in. I don't know that a lot of spouses would like that because that sounds very controlling, but that's what I'm good at.
Yeah.
So I make the schedule and I send to him, and that's what helps us stay organized. At the same time, his strength is being flexible and being really fun with the kids and being that balance of, hey, May, this sounds like this is too much this week, So yes, his strength is flexibility, but I think we're able to thrive because, again, we've leaned into what we're really good at. And I think I provide that
completely different. I don't,
That's
we're
surprising.
night and day. Yeah. And
My
I
gosh.
remember conversations where when we were just dating, it was, you're nothing like me here. This isn't gonna work. I need someone like point A 24/7, not someone just like, what, where? And I'm so glad, because if she was just like me, I mean, we wouldn't have made it here.
Yeah.
It'd be like an hour late. Hey, we just show up when we show up. That's how I roll. But no, that's interesting to hear that. Okay.
So how do you stay a rubber band and still keep your shape? Like,
Oh
how do you
man.
stay you, right?
Oh, that's something I have to work on 24/7. I first had to learn I'm very critical of other people to a detriment at times.
Check out his
Um,
print.
Very, very critical. And it does turn into judgment. I can be very judgmental. And one of the things while I do that, I'm open to criticism at work, but for whatever reason, when it came to home stuff, I'm not. And so one of the big barriers, or especially when we had kids, was getting over that hump. And when she would, I thought, attack me or criticize me, it was like, oh man, she's just trying to help me.
You know that Brene Brown saying about you can either be right or have a learner's mindset and get it right?
Yeah.
He has to be right all the time, which is a big.
Me too.
But I have to remind myself. But how do I have to constantly remind myself that, like, no, she's saying something, I need to listen. There's a reason why. But that to me is a big struggle, because that's not in my DNA. But it's really, I mean, it's tough. It's not easy. There were moments, like I told her, like just that little,
Story about you leaving the baby.
fuck it, why not?
Leaving the baby.
Listen,
Leaving the baby.
So I'm
Okay.
come on. Let me give some context.
Okay, fine.
I had a busy day at work. I was dealing with something. There was a big investigation. I just gotten chewed out. It's work and go straight home, meeting kids. I was already in a bad mood, and so my head was still in work. I was still just not there, and I need to be more present with the kids. And yeah, so I knew where the baby was. I'll let you go. Damn it.
Okay.
No, I've always said I'm not
I-
going to be the Fox 4 News dad. I was the Fox 4 News
This is a
dad
prime
that day.
example of how he's very judgmental, and he admits that. And where I'm always like, be careful about how judgmental you are, because you can also make mistakes. People are not infallible. We are humans and we make mistakes. So a lot of times he's always like, I'm not going to be a Fox 4 News to be that dad who left their kids somewhere or got them lost or whatever. So we went to dinner, and he's going to bring the baby, and I'm going to bring the two older kids to make sure we're not late for a reservation. And he's at the valet line. So I'm at the restaurant. He walks in. He doesn't have the car seat with our infant. He left our infant with the valet guys in their car.
That's cool. It's like, I mean, there's someone there.
No, I'm not trying to make it out to be really bad, but it was that moment of, I was like, where's the baby? And he's like,
I didn't even
he
say
just
anything.
ran.
He just ran.
He just ran and got the baby. Now, he did not enjoy the rest of the dinner. I didn't say anything. I mean, this was an opportunity where I could be that wife, be like, rah, 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 but I could tell that it really affected him. And we just went on with the dinner. The kids didn't even pick up anything. And we had dinner, and I was like, do you want anything? He just did not eat. He was upset the whole time. And I did not say a word. And he had to process it internally. But later, when he was in a space, I was like, that's why I think it's really important that we give people grace, because we don't know what mistakes we can make.
Now, technically, the truck hadn't moved and the door was still open with the valet. They didn't, they didn't,
Like, what do you want me to do with this kid?
And the valet said, oh man, this happens all the time,
Yes.
every day. This is like several times a day. Typically with dads, they said. I was like, oh.
Your judgment can be on yourself as well. Right? Is that
Yeah,
also-
it's
Yeah.
I'm pretty critical of myself, especially I've got a chip on my shoulder. I was raised without a dad and single mother, and so I have a lot of issues. I'll be the first to admit that, and I'm pretty judgmental of myself. Like, oh, but it always takes a minute. Something has to happen. I have to take a step back and be like, man,
So I'm gonna go back to my original question, which is like,
as a rubber band for Mey, like when you're flexing and just, she said your superpower is being a rubber band. So how do you retain your own identity as an individual? How do you say, this is me, Jason, and always bounce back to that shape, if you know what I'm saying?
I don't know. That's the first time I've never thought about that. That's the first time someone's. I don't know. There are days where I don't want to be that husband. There are days where I don't want to be that father, good or bad. And there are days where I'd like to have, bathtub moment. And I don't take bathtub moments. But I think at the end of the day, I'm not 100% sure I always fully process it. I tend to keep things in. There are times I explode, whether it's in rage, anger, happiness. It just, it's an explosion of feelings to some degree, positive or negative, but I don't process. It's just kind of, it is what it is. I don't have time to process. I learned early on in life that time is, it's very short. So I constantly remind myself, and I do this to her all the time, and she hates it. And I'm like, I don't got time for that. Why are you, I don't got time to process these feelings. Like, life is too short. There are bigger things going on.
I don't have a problem with him not wanting to process his feelings. I have a problem hearing that when I'm trying to share my feelings. Let's be clear.
That's the way it works. I really don't know the answer to that. I've never really thought about it.
Yeah,
I've really never thought about that. Go for it.
I think one is that if you look into his print, it's about his principles, and he would say his core values are honor, courage, commitment.
U.S. Navy.
And so I think being very principled and having that strict world view, to have any other reaction is not within his realm of behavior or understanding. Like, he cannot comprehend why someone would not do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I think secondly, I have to make sure that I don't take advantage of that, even though I'm honestly saying it's all about me and what I want. But I also recognize that he needs his time. And so his hobby is endurance training. So whether that's marathons or triathlons, like, that's his time to train and get away and have his bathtub moment or equivalent. I'll tell you that he doesn't do it as often as I do, where I will take my hour every day away, and I need that quiet time. I'm also introverted. He doesn't take advantage of it enough, but every year he's at least one big race where it's a weekend away. Training, sometimes he trains, sometimes he doesn't. That's probably something we could probably work on creating for him.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it too. Like, me recognizing that if he won't do it for himself, like, you need some time. And you sometimes fight me on it.
Yeah, I do.
And it's irritating.
Like,
To
fight
you.
for it or fight
Against
like
it.
Against it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
almost like he has to be a martyr, where I'm like, I'm not asking that of you. No one's making you not go train. Go train. And then how I push his button to say, don't use me as an excuse for not reaching your own goals. That gets him fired up and yelling at me, and then out the door.
Yeah,
That's
stay
how it works.
seated, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
So earlier you talked about having a really hard day at work, and then you came home and you were like upset with the kids or whatever. You were just short with everybody. So what do you guys do? Because you guys both have very demanding jobs. What do you guys do to almost reset so that you don't bring some of that energy into the home, into the relationship, into the marriage, into your parenting? And I know it's not always perfect, right? Like, I have a hard day at work and I'm at home yelling at the kids. So, but like, what are some tips, secrets, tricks that you guys have?
So for me, because I commute, because I still work in downtown and we
Yeah.
live up north, what I've started to do, I start to do it more often. Some people on those long drives, they like to enrich themselves, mind and body, listen to things. Me, have you ever seen carpool karaoke? That's me. Whether it's
Same song or
no, whether it's typically I gravitate towards Wu-Tang or Megadeth or Slayer, which brings me back to my childhood. But yeah, that's me. I'm sure. I think I've been on the phone
like
with
going all
her.
out, just
Oh
driving
yeah,
and like.
and so if you see me in the toll road slamming, that's me. It's probably Slayer or Megadeth I'm listening to. And if you see me throwing my hands up, and just about it, then that's probably me jamming to some old Body Count or Wu-Tang. So but that's how I process it. So I get it all out.
Yeah.
So by the time I get home, because I know by the time I get home, because she's at a disadvantage, she's been with the kids for several hours by that point, having to still work and cook and do various things if it's her night, if she's cooking. I know by the time I get home, like it's game on.
It's a quick handoff.
It's a quick.
Here you go.
Do
Do
I'm
it.
out.
It's real quick. And I mean, there are times I don't get out of my work clothes till 11 p.m. because just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
But that's how I process it. So that's been beneficial to me. I used to listen to the news, and then I realized, man, just starting a couple of years ago, the news became,
Yeah.
didn't matter what I listened to, it didn't feel good. So, there's no more GMA happy stories at 6 p.m., So, but yeah, that's how I process it. I know it's silly. It's simple, actually.
That's great.
It works for me. I've even had moments where I just scream. Have you ever done that? Like, I've done that. I've been in a car and I just thought about something irritating me at work, and like I know I'm going to get home and it's really bothering me. I wanted to cuss that person out, and I literally will scream in the car. Just if you haven't done it, I really highly suggest just sit in the car and just think about it and just let it out. And oh man, you feel so good afterwards.
I kind of would have put a hidden camera in Jason's
You really
car.
do. You really do. Like it really does feel good. Maybe it's not for everyone, but
I don't think it's for me.
you can
What-
try it.
Well, what do you do, Mey? Because if you're working from home, how do you handle that transition time of going from work, and if you have a hard day at work, into now being with the kids or being
Yeah, so for me, it's that schedule and planning. It doesn't work perfectly if
Yeah.
little fires pop up, but I actually block off my calendar. Like I have to pick up the kids by 6, so I'd block it off from 5 to 6, and that's my time to put music on and then either cook or prep the dinner so that it's ready to cook when the kids come in. But it's really allowing that time. Sometimes I might get on the treadmill and just walk for like 10, 15 minutes even, because I'm trying to get my steps in. So it's like productive, but also it's like a specific break between work and home. And then I also have to look at my calendar for that day. Like, did I get everything that I needed done? And the key is need. Does it need to be done today, or does it need to go over tomorrow? If it needs to get done today, I'm going to pick it up at 9 or 10 p.m. after the kids go to bed. But for me, I lean into structure and creating that space, because otherwise it's frenetic energy constantly.
Yeah.
Complete difference, right?
Yeah.
Complete
Yeah.
difference.
So you guys.
Well, it's different in the way you guys do it, but you guys still create that buffer
Yeah.
in between. So, yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. And it sounds like you're really intentional about the buffer that works for you and you.
Yeah.
So you guys are heading into year 2, just started year 2 of Empowered Families. What's been the most challenging part of doing this work?
Consistency.
Yeah.
Having to remind ourselves to be consistent. And then open to some of the things we've learned from other couples and through Empowered Families, putting it to practice. Like, I will just tell you, you're right, year 2, and it's only been a couple months ago I started actually putting it to practice. She doesn't even know when I'm doing it, but what I'll do is I'll be like, stop. Do you realize this is what I'm trying to do? You haven't learned anything, that's literally, but I mean, shame on me for just now implementing that, but it really has been beneficial. I see that change, that difference, but it's the hardest part is consistency.
Yeah.
Slowing down enough to do it, and making it a habit to where I think someone in the last class was like, you just start doing it day in, day out.
Yeah.
It becomes habit to where it's just flows. And I think we're starting to get there with certain things.
Yeah, I think it would differ a little bit. I think the hardest part was starting it. That for me was the hardest. You can probably tell already that we're very different. And I've been on sort of a self-reflection and personal growth journey for a while and trying to convince him that this is worthy of his time and really taking his vacation days, because he has to use vacation days for it from work, was the biggest hurdle. I'm so glad we did. And honestly, whenever I'm like, how much do you love me? I show up to that thing with you. And I know. So I think that was the biggest hurdle for me, just for you to believe in the process.
I think the first couple sessions, like I was just there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you could figure that out, but I was just there.
And I would ask your feedback, be like, oh, what did you think? Meh.
Like this isn't meant for me or geared
Yeah.
towards me. And it's not that I'm not open. It's just, I just, yeah, okay. I just felt, I mean, you're here. I'm not gonna, yeah. I just felt that maybe being in that room with the other couples that were there, and she kind of hit on something earlier, she's the breadwinner,
Yeah.
and I'm surrounded by all these people, and, it's
With a more traditional family.
marriage.
Yeah.
At times, it took me the first couple sessions because I felt like this. It's like, oh no, don't baby me. I just felt like this. No, don't feel bad. It's not your thing. But I felt like this. But, and I told her, I was like, yeah, I mean, this is geared towards more wealthy, powerful families. That's not us, But then I realized, especially the last two sessions, I was like, man, more people need this. It doesn't matter. It's not geared towards, I guess, what you would call a power couple, or it's not even a power couple, just a certain dynamic when it comes to wealth. And that's how I kind of took it initially. And the last two sessions were just like, hey, I need this. So it took a while to get there. Again, I had to go through all these other steps, and then we've moved there. But then I realized that those previous steps that I was tuned out for, like, oh man, that all aligned to this moment. So
I think it really depends on a person's where they are in their personal growth journey, right? But it's interesting, like me hearing that for the first time, I didn't realize, like, obviously my reaction is a genuine
I'm not
one.
deep. A lot of deep. I'm not deep.
Like,
She's the deep thinker.
You guys can come here any day to have your deep conversations, okay? We can do this every month.
But when I hear that, that's interesting to me that you felt that way, because there are a couple of other couples where the women in the relationships, they said it themselves, they're like, we're housewives. We didn't think it was for us. So that's interesting. And you obviously are not a housewife.
Yeah.
You work, we work.
I mean,
both
I do
work.
feel like a Dobby every once in a while. Even the kids call me
I don't know
House
what that
Dobby. Have you ever seen Harry Potter?
No.
There's Dobby. It's a little midget thing that's a
It's
housemaid.
a house elf.
House elf.
Oh,
So, when we get upset, I'm just like, I'm not your damn Dobby.
When he feels like he's not appreciated, he will refer to himself as Dobby, the house elf. And I realized then, like, oh, I need to shower him with some appreciation.
I'm not calling those young ladies Dobbies. I'm just saying that's, yeah. It's interesting. I didn't even think about that. I didn't know that. Okay.
I want to call out something really beautiful that I just saw, though, like about a few minutes ago when you were talking about how you felt a little insecure because of the dynamic of the other couples in the room. And she was saying, like, oh, like she was showing you a little bit of empathy, and you were like, it's not about you. It's not
Yeah.
like, you don't need to make yourself small to make me feel better. And I just thought that was like really powerful, because I think a lot of men might say, yeah, like, make yourself smaller so that I can make my ego feel better, right? But he was like, don't
My
make
ego-
yourself smaller.
He's like, it's my thing.
My
Yeah,
ego.
he like owns that.
My ego walked out the door 2 weeks into us dating, where she was like, you're not allowed to date anyone else. And like, it was a true It's like, okay, what does that mean? That completely walked out the door when she's on dates, and I'm just like, oh, okay.
Juice is worth the
Yeah,
squeeze.
just sitting here throwing ducks over in the village at ducks, just wondering who she's making out with today. So my ego, trust me, my ego left a long time ago with both of us. So yeah, no, but yeah, I really appreciate how clearly you guys, as you've been on this journey and sharing it with us, you guys are listening. It's not just blah, 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 blah. You're listening and taking it in because, again, I was tuned out.
Cutter.
Yeah, it's not cookie cutter. And I like how I can tell, and I don't know. I don't know enough about necessarily certain things, what you guys are doing, the back end or the behind the scenes. But I really appreciate that y'all create a safe space and y'all allow those changes to, hey, this may not work. And we did that last session. Okay, it may not work for you. It's not this way. We'll circle back to it. So that way it's not just being jabbed down my throat.
Yeah.
I think what's really powerful about the program that we've talked about this is not just the content itself, because a person could pick up a book or, a podcast or whatever. It's not that. It's also being in a room with other couples and that feeling of we're not alone.
Yeah.
Because so many times when it's just your marriage, you put that judgment on it. Like, are we failing at this? Is this a good marriage? Is it a bad marriage? Oh, that couple, they looks like they're happier. Or there's just like this comparative nature of it. When
especially based on what you see on social media.
Yes.
Oh, they look so happy.
Yes.
Yeah, you're comparing your back of house to their front of house.
Yes.
Right? And it's not apples to apples.
So I think that's really powerful in knowing that there are others who admit not that there's ever a perfect marriage or perfect family. First, admit there's no perfection, but admit that we all want to do better.
Yeah.
And committed to doing it together, and having that safe space is so powerful.
Yeah. Sunny likes to tell people that we disagree about more things than we actually agree on, but at least we know where the disagreement is.
Yeah, it's key, knowing where the disagreement is, and being open to hearing what that disagreement is, because we have different opinions. But yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, and not needing for each person, not needing for us to agree on everything, right? Like, I know where I stand, he knows where he stands. There's some things that we need to compromise on, but there's some things that we're like, okay, we know we're not aligned on this, but we're okay with that. We can live with it.
It's like learning. I don't know if it's something in the air or what it is, but I feel like whether it's in relationships or just in general between neighbors or just, I don't know, I feel like in the last 5-6 years, we've all forgotten it's okay to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Like, do we all need to go back to civics in high school? I mean, I don't know what you got in Kaufman, but in Duncanville, civics and the social issue. I mean,
Why do you have to insult the small town that I grew up in to make your point?
Okay. Anyways, I did, didn't I?
Poor
Okay.
Colin.
Yeah. So, but it's that learning to, it's okay. You can agree to disagree. I think I even said that to you the other day. I was like, I hear you. I think it was something about like me not putting stuff up. It's just going to go somewhere, random, which is a big issue for me, because then I can't find it. So like, for instance, for something very small, baby gate screws, I knew where they were at. They disappeared because like anything, if it's not in its proper place, she just puts it somewhere. So I had to order some more on Amazon.
She organized
I
them.
wouldn't have had to order them on Amazon if I knew where they were at, where I left them. And so she had this thing, and I just said, hey, you know what? I hear you. I can hear you. I understand where you're coming from, but I don't agree with you. But I hear you. But this isn't something we're going to agree on, so we can agree to disagree. But I do want you to know I'm hearing you, but it's not going to happen. Just leave my stuff alone, please.
Can we agree to disagree about my clutter?
I've been doing that. What do you mean?
Mate, tell us about your year of 2024 and what you have planned for the year and what you're doing to reset and take care of yourself.
Yeah. Next year is May's year of no. no to anything and everything
You got a pen so I can write that down?
that I don't want to do. I've sort of taken like sort of years off with each child, meaning no to being on a board or no to, community engagement, but that was because for each child.
Yeah.
And I think I'm really excited that next year it's going to be, I want to read and I want to write and I want to explore public speaking. Sort of going back to your question, Sunny, about personal identity, I feel like a lot of my identity is lost in work or being a mother. And I just like to figure out what I like to do just for fun and do more of it.
Yeah. So what does a win for you look like at the end of December of next year?
I think more clarity on whether I want to be writing a book or whether I want to be a public speaker. I think just allowing myself that year of exploration would be a win of itself. And honestly, if I can actually stick to saying no. As a recovering people pleaser, it's really hard for me to say no, especially when someone says, May, I need your help.
Yeah.
It's so hard for me to say, not right now.
Yeah.
You guys know I didn't even know about this podium thing. I didn't know she was a member of it. I didn't even know she was the damn president of it. You were the president at some point or something? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even know
She
until...
still is.
But it ends this year.
I didn't even know about this. It was like some secret society, like skulls from that movie for a long time. I don't know, but it was at an event, and I think it was Jennifer Wang had said, "Oh, thank you for loaning us your wife." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You didn't know?" I'm like, "No, what?" And she told me. I was like, "What the hell?" It's either I'm completely out of tune with reality at home. No, she just kept it complete secret.
She's honoring our confidentiality.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, we have
I mean,
yeah.
I was just like, oh. So, I mean, she says this, and I'm like, what secret society are you going to join in 2024 and not tell me? So, but yeah, we'll see how long that note lasts. You have a big heart. So, and it's
a nice way of saying that I have trouble saying no and setting boundaries.
No.
But
yeah.
But I would have to say what you just said really is something that also came out of Empowered Families, actually. And that is when we worked on our individual decade dreams and coming up with the core values, that was really the first time that I shared it with him.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is. I don't know why I sort of like hoarded my own dreams and goals. I mean, he would even be like, I really think you should be a writer one day. And I'd be like, eh. And I just didn't ever continued. I could have furthered that conversation whenever we brought it up, but I just never did. And I really don't know why. But now that we've each seen it, gosh, it just gives us this language and just this ability to connect on a deeper level. Because honestly, for a while, I feel like we were leading kind of separate lives. And we would join together to take care of the kid. But he would have no idea what I was doing professionally. I wouldn't even bring it home.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even tell him about awards.
It's $1 million that you raised for equal access to justice, right?
Yeah, like he might hear the venting, like there's this thing I have to do, but he never got to get the full picture or my why or any of that until after going through that first year of Empowered Families, where I feel a need to connect and to share. But before it was like separate but equal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's fair. It's fair. Yeah.
Do you have a reaction to that?
No, that's fair assessment. That's pretty right on point.
Was there anything surprising about what he wrote as his personal plan?
No.
Mine's pretty simple. I'm not deep. I don't
wouldn't say that you're not deep, but I mean, he values adventure and endurance training. So I know that his decade dream and his personal goals are wrapped around that. That was not surprising. That's how we met. And also, I've always known, and I always gasp when he shares this, he's like, wouldn't it be awesome to just sell all our possessions after doing with the kids and just live on a hut on a beach? F no, that is not my vision of what I want.
We're getting there. We've got her convinced to build the beach house.
You got the beach part. Yeah.
We got the beach. Now it's like, are we going to be living in a hut? Can we afford a hut or a big home on the beach?
Yeah.
So
no, I'm not surprised, but indicative, like he shares. That's what he wants to do. But it was that I wasn't sharing what I want to do.
Yeah. What does it mean for you guys to live an empowered life? So the podcast is called Empowered Living. What does it mean for you guys to be living empowered?
we have a different take. I think my take is to be in the know. Her goals, our vision. I was talking with her this morning about it, like this podcast. And I was just like, I don't think 2 steps ahead. I don't think about the what ifs. I don't think about my future. I constantly am like, no, be in the present. I constantly tell myself, who cares about a year from now? So it's been a struggle. There's a lot of that with Empowered, but I realize I see the benefits of that. Being in the know, it's like that light bulb is on, and being in the know has made my life easier. But it's also put things into perspective. Like, okay, it's not just we're parenting. It's not just this auto cycle that we're on. Once you get married, you have kids. It's the social norm. It's, we're like little ants taking the same steps every day. But it's really being in the know, being a little bit more connected. I thought we were connected, but clearly I think with the class, it showed that I had a disconnect. So for me, it's being in the know, not just of me personally, because it has helped me personally, but getting to know her a little bit more. I thought I knew her like the back of my hand, and clearly I didn't. And then just also being in the know for our family. What does that future that I refuse to step into really look like? So that's been a big thing.
Yeah,
for me.
I think about empowerment. I think about how we were living our lives, where he had his own personal goals and I had my own personal goals, and then we had family goals. We never talked about it. We never shared it. So I think being empowered is taking those 3 different work streams. Empowered families is just a catalyst. Combining it, where we're sharing it, we're communicating it, and we can thrive in the same direction. Because otherwise, you don't even know if your goals are like counter to each other. So I think that's what being an empowered family means, right? Like having that awareness and the tools to really maximize what you want in life.
Okay, before we wrap up, one last question. Biggest tip that you have for couples? Marriage tip, relationship tip. What's the one piece of advice that you would leave?
What's so funny?
Do you know what I'm about to say?
No, I don't know. Go. I don't have one yet.
I've got 2.
Okay.
Actually, I'll let you go first.
I don't have one yet. Please.
You don't have one yet?
Not yet.
Okay. 2. When we got married, someone whispered and told me, actually, I think they wrote it down or something, but they were like, one of the keys to a happy marriage is even when you don't want to, you still got to give it up. Still got to give it up. I don't mean that I mean that in a very particular way. So that's one.
You mean have sex?
Yes. So they're like,
I'm like, what?
even when you don't want to, I don't know. Who knows? There could be kids
You already
watching
said the
this
F
thing.
word.
I don't know. But yeah, someone was like, the key is even when you don't want to, for the rest of your life, you're stuck with this person. Why not enjoy that ride? So got to give it up even when you don't want to. But all serious, for me, the biggest tip or advice is not to listen to the outside. If my wife would have listened to all her friends at the time, and there are only a few that basically said, give this guy a shot. And again, I told you kind of early on, we went through a lot of trials before we got married. We could do a podcast on all that right there. But there were a lot of outside voices saying, stay away, get away from this guy. Because I came with baggage, didn't have a car. She didn't know that, just there's all these certain things. And if she would have listened, we wouldn't have 3 beautiful kids. She'd probably be married to a lawyer or an anesthesiologist, and I'd be living in Colorado, running and living the dream of running just nonstop, or surfing somewhere. But it's just really not listening. I tell people when they have kids or expecting kids. I told someone at your house one day who, I can't remember the young lady who was expecting, but I told him my biggest advice to him as a father is don't listen to what other people say. At the end of the day, you've got to figure it out. So you can take everything in bits and pieces, but really that's for them. Just don't listen to the outside noise. Focus on what's in front of you at that moment. So that's my biggest advice.
I think mine is making space for each other and your relationship. I think for a long time, because I worked in big law and I worked all the time, I took for granted that he's a grown-ass man. He can figure out dinner. He can figure out whatever. I've got a bill to, make money for our family. And I didn't make time for dates or for connection even, because I was so exhausted from work that we were basically roommates for a while. And we still had sex, but roommates.
Yeah.
Friends with benefits.
Yeah, friends with benefits, basically, but not that emotional connection, because I just didn't have the energy or capacity for it. And I think our marriage is better because we intentionally have date nights. And I'm not just saying like date nights where we do the same thing. It's like we do a shared activity together, or we have deeper conversations, or we remember who we are as individuals and as a couple, even though of course we're going to talk about the kids, because that's, because we're parents, we can't divorce ourselves from that. But I think making that time has done wonders. And even if it's me intentionally saying, okay, I'm not going to work tonight, and we're going to watch an episode of something, because then we have something shared to talk about and to connect over. That would be my advice for any marriage. Invest time in each other.
Love it.
That's awesome. I appreciate you guys. Just kind of like Mey, you wouldn't be able to do what you do without support like Jason, and you the same way with Mey. So it's just cool to see how you guys kind of fell together and
Are doing life. It's like,
Yeah,
it's really
we're
awesome.
so thankful to y'all for creating Empowered Families, because I feel stronger than ever from being in this together.
She's not saying that. Just say that. I'm telling you, after every session, she's like, don't you feel stronger? I feel more connected to you. I'm like, I never felt disconnected. What's going on? I didn't feel
I
alone.
thought we were fine.
I
I was like, we are,
fine.
but better.
But no, that is a constant, genuine. I feel so much better. Like we're connected. So clearly, and I do too as well. It took me a long time. It took me a couple sessions, but yeah, thank you guys for sharing this with us, and allowing us to be a part of the journey. So I just look forward to more to come.
Yeah.
Invite me over for another podcast. I'll show you my
Yes.
Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh my
yes,
gosh.
please. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in to Empowered Living. I hope today's conversation sparked some inspiration and gave you tools to live more intentionally in your family, work, and life. If you enjoyed our episode today, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an inspiring story or actionable takeaway. And if you know someone who would love this episode, share it with them, because living an intentional life is better when we do it together. Until next time, remember, the life you want doesn't happen by chance. It happens by choice. Let's keep creating it one step at a time.